People say work hard and be rich, but that's not true. If hard work alone created wealth, then nurses, construction workers, police, firemen, teachers would be the richest people alive. And they're not. Meanwhile, billionaires like Warren Buffett make 2 decisions a year and stay wealthy. So what's really happening? Why do some people work 80-hour weeks and still struggle, while others build wealth with minimal effort? I know this firsthand. I left my 6-figure corporate job, built my business, and have helped hundreds of families break free from financial stress without grinding themselves into the ground. Let me explain. We've been taught to believe that more hours equals more money. You see it everywhere in social media. Wake up at 4 a.m., grind harder than everybody else. No one can outwork me. It's in every motivational reel, people flexing their hustle like a badge of honor. But let's be real. If success was only about hard work, everyone would be pulling 16-hour shifts to be a millionaire. The real difference between the rich and everyone else, they don't just work hard, they work smart. And I've covered the gamut. When I started out as a financial advisor, I was working 70-hour weeks, and I think I made $36,000 that first year. Fast forward, I'm making more money than I ever have in my life, and still working pretty hard, but there are ways that I can leverage my time and get better results than I would by just working harder. So if working harder isn't the answer, what is? The wealthiest people don't work the most hours necessarily. They focus on 3 things. Leverage, which is using tools, systems, and automation to make money work for them. So here's an example for me. You might be familiar with me because you've seen an ad of mine on Facebook or Instagram. This enables me, instead of cold calling to find more clients, I get to create a piece of content once and then splash it all over the internet for a fee, and that increases my reach without any physical effort or use of my time. Smart money management. Instead of stressing over every dollar, they use systems to control cash flow automatically. This could be allocating money into separate accounts without lifting a finger. Think like your 401k. So again, I have business automations that put money into different buckets within my business bank so that I know what's what, not one giant business slush fund. Automated expenses. The more your hourly rate goes, the less it makes sense for you to spend tons of hours planning out and paying bills and setting up investments to grow on autopilot. Maybe you've seen me reference this study, The Wealth of Households, where we see that so much of American wealth is in retirement accounts. That's not because people are working harder, it's because they clicked a button on a computer screen once when they signed up for the 401k, and the money just gets sucked out of their paycheck before they think about it. That's one way to let things grow on autopilot, though plenty of other examples exist. High value tasks. Instead of spending time on things that don't move the needle, they focus on big impact activities. Building income streams instead of chasing small savings. So you are literally watching this take place right now in my business, live, so to speak. In that, as I film this YouTube video, this is another income stream for my business. I'm planting seeds for the future here instead of just chasing small savings. So sometimes you'll hear they'll drive a couple miles out of the way to save 10 cents per gallon on gasoline. That is usually a waste of time. Whereas I can work with someone like Victoria, who is awesome, helping me out with the YouTube stuff, which I'm not competent in, but she is helping me scale my time and efforts so that I can do big things over time, and I can pay her to do something that she's great at. So it's like a huge win-win. You can delegate low value tasks to free up time to focus on these bigger items. So there's plenty of things behind the scenes that I have people do for me, like hosting my content for me might be one example. Leveraging technology to manage my calendar is another easy example. Having people follow up on my team with people when they book a call with me to make sure that they're going to show up and have done the homework and things like that. And then making key decisions that generate the long-term results. So as I grow my business, I'm trying to do less and less. I'm trying to spend less time in the weeds and more time doing the high-level, big picture strategy of the business and growing it that way and putting people in the right seats to replicate some of my efforts, as well as things that I'm not great at. There's plenty of people out there that are better at a lot of things than me. And my big core focus is coaching people, creating content, thinking of new ways to communicate these ideas more effectively to get this out to wider and wider audiences of people. Here's something that was eye-opening for me. When I pivoted in my business journey, I started out by creating a course, and that was incredibly time consuming. And I spent 5 months making $0. I was just learning how to film, learning how to create content, learning how to do all these things, the lighting, all of it, like learning how to build a web page and landing page. And it was valuable. Like, I'm glad that I learned some of those skills, but it was all so time consuming. And again, not profitable in the short term. So now that I've switched gears and focused more on coaching, that's a little bit easier to make money quickly and scale quicker, at least based on my personal experience anyway. And this is getting me to the place in my business where I'm able to outsource more and more of the things that I'm either not great at, that stress me out, that zap my energy, etc., so that I can again focus on those big tasks that are really important to me. And look, this is exactly why I teach my clients about financial automation, so you can grow your wealth without feeling not only trapped by just the minutia of budgets, the stress of budgets, the constant need to micromanage them, which in turn creates this kind of like money scarcity, downward death spiral, which we'll dive deeper in later in the video. A lot of personal finance is wrong. You hear things like stop buying coffee, never go out to eat, live as cheap as possible until you're debt free. Then you can have your freedom. The problem is that mindset makes your life miserable. And by the way, most of us don't want to be miserable. And so guess what? You're just going to find ways to cheat and find ways to fall off the wagon, period. And then you'll just live in this like permanent feeling of guilt all the time. That'll be great. Instead, the key isn't to cut out every little expense or joy from your life. The key is to control and insulate your lifestyle so that you can invest more over time. Like, we're playing a long game of decades here. You don't need to stop going out. Sure, you can create incentives that allow you as a downstream effect to naturally go out less, but without like restricting yourself to the core. You don't need to track every dollar, because guess what? Tracking is looking at money in the rearview mirror and does nothing to actually change your positive behavior. It just makes you feel guilty for eating out too much. What we do instead is set a system to give you a weekly allowance to take care of all the things, and then you have a much smaller amount of money over a much shorter amount of time, and it's therefore so much easier to manage that without going into a downward death spiral of budgeting nightmaredom. This is why I teach my clients about the lifestyle box. A system that keeps your lifestyle inflation in check so that you can still enjoy your life. So you can see by the image on the screen that the lifestyle box kind of encapsulates your bills, which guess what, are fixed, as well as your spending, which we also make it fixed by giving a weekly cash infusion. And so as you earn more money, you get a pay raise, you get bonuses, you get commissions. If you're paid bi-weekly like 95% of Americans, then there are 2 months of the year where you get 3 paychecks. Maybe you didn't even know that. Those third paychecks in the month will land into savings when you direct deposit all of your money, like in the image, directly into a high yield savings account. So if you are a variable income earner, good news, your ship has just come in, because this is an absolute game changer for you. But going back to the lifestyle box, we don't have to shred our lifestyle to the bone, especially if you're a target audience member of mine, a 6-figure family that might be struggling with debt and some other things and trying to figure out like, where's all my money going? If we pare down gently and insulate your lifestyle and dose it out to you on a weekly basis with healthy boundaries between institutions that make not cheating super simple, then your lifestyle is insulated. So anytime money increases via pay raise, bonuses, etc., as we hit financial goals, we raise our lifestyle up proportionately. Rule of thumb, if you have a raise, 50%, save and invest, raise your lifestyle by 50%. Easy breezy. But most people cannot do that now with having zero clarity on where all their money is going, and they're just going to feel like, oh, that sounds nice, but how on earth would I actually do that? So again, this goal keeps lifestyle in check so that you don't piss away all your money, and instead you can actually create savings buckets for that next house, the next car, the next toy, gadget, vacation, Christmas, etc., all without lifting a finger. Getting rich isn't about working harder, it's about choosing the right game. If you're in a job, if you've got a 9-to-5, no big deal. Use it to finance your freedom. Hey, you've got a great 6-figure job and you can just save and invest your way to retirement on your terms. Do it. If you are building that business, focus on those high leverage tasks, outsource the rest so you're not just in perma grind mode, because guess what? You're going to burn out. If you want wealth, don't just save money, find ways to also grow your income. Most people try to budget their way to wealth. The truth is it's very, very difficult to save your way to financial freedom, especially if you don't have a good income to begin with. Not impossible, just very difficult. So why don't we instead stack the deck in our favor? The rich focus on earning more, managing it wisely, and putting their money to work through smart investments. And here's the biggest shift that took me way too long to actually comprehend and believe myself. The goal is not working. That is complete bullshit. Let me save you years of agony, possibly. Too many people think that like the dream scenario is financial freedom where you don't have to do anything. That is genuinely probably a nightmare scenario. That is a key for depression. We need purpose and work for fulfillment in so many ways. Maybe that's a whole video. Drop it in the comments if you want that. But like the reality is, would you actually be happy sitting at home all day doing nothing? Of course not. Sure, maybe you want to like play the latest Call of Duty for a few hours, for like go on a bender for a week. Great, enjoy. After that, what's your plan? The goal is to build a life where you're financially secure and doing work that matters. And you can do both simultaneously, by the way, just FYI. One of my favorite questions to ask is, what is your perfect Tuesday? And that's something that you're not going to figure out today with me just asking that once, but that's something to mull over and constantly ask, because guess what? Human beings grow and change and adopt and evolve. I think so many of us grew up in families where mom and dad worked the same job for 30 years, and we just have this kind of baked into us that that's the goal. Like, if only life was that simple, we could just work this job for 30, 40 years. In the world we live, that sounds like a nightmare to me, because I don't know about you, but my tastes and interests are growing and evolving, and I'm always loving to learn and work on new fun things and exciting things. And so my guess is that will continue to happen for me in my life, and I want to be flexible in what my goals and dreams are, and I want to have the freedom, especially time freedom, location freedom, financial freedom, obviously, to do those things that I want to do and have enough flexibility kind of all the way around. The good news is I don't have to be financially independent to have taken the leap that I took to start this business, film this video, take the next risk. Hard work is exhausting, but automation, that's how you can multiply your money by doing less. Now, answer one simple question. Do you honestly think that financial success is tracking every single dollar manually every time you get paid for the rest of your life, filling out spreadsheets, constantly checking expenses in your bank account, stressing over every little purchase? Wealthy people don't do that. They have systems that help them manage their money, or they hire people that then create the systems for them. In preparation with this video, I was looking up, there are things called family offices. Go Google it and look it up yourself. There are certain wealthy people that have a high enough net worth where they basically like create their own like financial advisor concierge, or find one and plug into an existing one where they are having their bills paid for them. They are having like allowances and so forth. Yeah, sure, maybe it's coming out of a trust and it gets a little esoteric and crazy and all the tax stuff that goes into it. But in recent history in the world, you can have the same kind of concierge financial systems that you build yourself or with help from yours truly, and live this life where you have this kind of separation and you don't have to feel in the weeds, stressed out about money all the time. So instead of manually budgeting, your money should flow where it needs to automatically. Instead of constantly trying to save at the end of the month and hoping that there might be something to save, you could set up automatic transfers to save first, maybe just a little bit to begin with, and then slowly turn up the dial as you establish the new habit. Instead of micromanaging every bill, put your payments on autopilot, turn down the stress, and let them pay themselves. These are the tips and tools I use when I successfully transitioned out of corporate America into the unknown world of entrepreneurship. We had sold our house. I got let go from my corporate job, sitting on a pile of money thinking I cannot go back to corporate America or I'm going to lose my mind. Did a lot of praying about it, and I started this business. And one of the biggest things that saved my bacon and my mental stress while having no clue how I was going to generate income, at least in the beginning stages, instead of having a big pile of money that I'm like constantly trying to not spend any of it because the future is unknown, I set up systems to pay me every week for groceries and going out to eat and doing the things that we normally did in our life in a reasonable dollar amount. And that is what absolutely kept me and my wife, for the record, sane during this like crazy time in my life. And again, this is the same type of thing I do for all of my clients. For most Americans, money is incredibly stressful, but it doesn't have to be. So again, using my own automation, I didn't have to stress about all the little day-to-day stuff. I could focus on growing my income, and that's served me really well up to this point. Again, wealth is not about working harder, but about working smarter. You can keep grinding and hoping things will change, or you can start building real financial freedom today. And again, you don't have to do it alone. The biggest reason people stay stuck isn't lack of effort. It's not having the right systems and or accountability in place. And this is exactly what I do for my clients. I help them set up these systems and provide the accountability to ensure that it gets done right. If you're ready to automate your finances, to take control of your money and start growing real wealth, click the link below, book in a call, and let's make that happen together. And if you want to see how I quit my 6-figure job and built my business, watch this next. Thanks for watching.